Usually the smart money Lexus is the base hybrid. It's efficient, comfortable, and reasonably priced. This one is none of those things. It's complicated, weighs 4,500 pounds, and costs over $60,000. It's objectively the wrong choice on paper. But on paper, I also have abs and a consistent sleep schedule. And after a week behind the wheel, I'm starting to think that the smart money may be wrong. This NX might be the only one worth the price tag. And before you roll your eyes at the notion of a sport badge on another luxury crossover, let's explain what that means in this context. On something like a BMW, that means aggressive dynamics. On a Lexus, that means better damping. Lexus heard sport and said, so, less boat? And honestly, that's the correct priority. Steering is typical modern Lexus. It's accurate, the ratio's fine, but there's zero information coming from those two front contact patches. You point, it turns. Yes, it's an appliance, but it's a very obedient one. The front tires are doing something up there. Lexus would just prefer you didn't know about it. If the engineering brief for the steering said effortless instead of communicative, well, I think Lexus delivered exactly what was asked. However, body control is excellent. You hit a mid-corner compression and the dampers wake up and keep everything under control. The dampers catch the weight, it doesn't bounce, it just settles. With the dampers and the construction of this NX, it feels less sports SUV and more carved out of a block of granite. And don't misunderstand, this car at 8/10 on a good road is competent and composed. At 10/10, it might prefer a little safe understeer with the stability control light flashing. And that's honest behavior from a Lexus crossover, which is more than most buyers will ever ask of it. Anytime we talk about a brake pedal in combination with a hybrid powertrain, well, that's always a question. Reason is, anytime you use the brake pedal, there's this negotiation that goes on between actual braking and regenerative braking. With some hybrids, that handoff can be clumsy, and then you can be left with a brake pedal that feels wooden and lifeless, but that's not the case here. The pedal has some weight to it, modulation is precise, and any handoff between friction braking and regenerative braking feels so smooth that you don't even notice. For a 2-ton hybrid crossover, a confident brake pedal is never a given, but this one delivers. Now, if you're a regular viewer of the channel, you know I enjoy driving the NX 350 all over Vancouver Island, including in a blizzard, and it was delightful. But the 350 weighs 440 pounds less than this one does. Here, you feel all of that weight when you change direction. The dampers are so good that it manages that weight perfectly, but the weight never disappears. When you change drive modes, yes, there's a change in damping, but what I find is I prefer it in Sport Plus, and keep in mind it doesn't result in a rough ride. We're in Sport Plus right now, our roads are imperfect here, and this is very comfortable. It does a great job of absorbing road imperfections, but in Sport Plus it does the best job in terms of body and wheel control, and I definitely prefer it here. Plus, the dampers combined with the double wishbones at the rear are a fantastic setup. Mid-corner bumps never upset this NX. Subscribers get notified when new episodes drop on this channel. Non-subscribers hope the algorithm will show it to them eventually. And if you want to control when you see our episodes on YouTube, well, that's what the subscribe button does. Under the hood, we have the familiar 2.5-liter four-cylinder that's mated to a pair of electric motors. Total system output is 304 horsepower, and in a vacuum, that's an acceptable number. 0 to 60 happens in about 6 seconds, but this performance is dominated by the CVT. This is the experience. You ask for power, the engine moans a little bit, and the speedometer moves. It's effective and it's quick in the real world, with much credit due to the electric motors, but the CVT is about as engaging as a microwave. It's efficient, it's consistent, and it's done when it's done. And don't forget, there is an EV mode. You can drive this on electric only. It's officially rated at 37 miles, but In weather like this, expect more like 30 miles or about 50 kilometers. Now, this is a fairly complex drivetrain, and the 2.5-liter four-cylinder is doing something slightly absurd. Alone, it makes 181 horsepower, and that's not the whole story, obviously, but it is the part that you hear when the system decides to wake it up. And that sound, based on all of my drives of this current generation NX, hasn't changed. It's workmanlike, it's not unpleasant, and you'll never mistake that sound for something sporting. What saves it is brevity. Electric torque takes over and the cabin is quiet. The hybrid system uses that engine as a tool, and in EV mode, the isolation is absolute. And like we're doing now, 4,400 pounds of luxury crossover moving in absolute silence. And in Toronto traffic, that's great until someone cuts you off and you floor it, and suddenly there's a four-cylinder engine that has an opinion about the whole situation. I don't want to belabor this CVT because it's well engineered and it's doing something proper here. It's disguised itself as doing something acceptable. In 99% of driving situations, whether it's in the city or on the highway, you'll completely forget about it. The problem comes when you ask for something right now. Step on it at speed and then it just climbs to a higher RPM. The system holds that RPM while the drivetrain thinks about its options. There's no gear hunting, just a slight disconnection that takes a moment to materialize. These paddle shifters exist, but they're more like a closed door button on an elevator. Comforting, ceremonial, and slightly disconnected from reality. One of the things that makes this powertrain special is that there's no drivetrain running to the rear axle. The motor at that rear axle is electric. The best thing about that rear motor is its instantaneous response, and it doesn't seem to wait until the front tires ask for help before adding torque at the rear. In everyday driving, you'll never notice it, but in the wet or in snowy conditions like I've been driving, the response is immediate. What it doesn't do is torque vector, so don't expect big moments of power on oversteer. What it does extremely well is always ensures you have traction when you need it, and it's so good that you never have to think about it. And don't forget, the NX 350 will do 0 to 60 in 6.6 seconds with 275 horsepower and an automatic. This does 0 to 60 in 6 seconds flat with 304 horsepower and a CVT. One of those feels like an enthusiast car on a good day. The other one doesn't, but it gets to 60 faster and probably to work cheaper. There is a charge mode where you can use the gasoline engine to charge the hybrid battery, and that works just fine, but what it does do is makes the powertrain a little bit busier and a little bit less refined. If you want to support the channel beyond just watching, well, the merch store is open, and your support there means more time for us to produce episodes like this and less time worrying about manufacturer blacklists. No pressure, just an option. Inside the cabin is where the price of this NX makes sense. Overall finishes and build quality is genuinely excellent, and these F-Sport seats, they're definitely a highlight. They have actual bolstering that holds you in place, unlike the regular NX seats. And it is quiet, not just compact car quiet, S-Class quiet. The acoustic glass, the sound deadening, and the active noise cancellation have hermetically sealed you away from all of those regular people out there. The big touchscreen is a beautifully rendered piece of hardware and a mildly frustrating bit of software. The climate controls are partially embedded into the screen. You can adjust the temperature easily, but looking for other controls like heated seats or the heated steering wheel, well, that requires taking your eyes off the road. Just like I'm doing, Apple CarPlay largely circumvents your need to engage with the native system, and it appears that most owners choose this direction anyway. In the first 5 minutes, it was evident the build quality of this NX is incredible, and the bank vault metaphor writes itself. The doors close with a weighted, damped finality that you don't manufacture cheaply. Every surface you touch regularly has been considered, and even the surfaces you'd never touch in 6 months feel considered. And that, my friends, is the difference between a luxury car and a car with luxury features. This is noticeably smaller than the RX, but still very usable. And in a big city like where I live, this works in terms of its exterior dimensions. Inside, well, it's definitely not as spacious as some people would like. Now, if you don't need to transport full-size humans in that second row, that's fine. It's still not a penalty box there, and full-size adults can be very comfortable. There's still a decent amount of storage under the hatch and various storage bins here in the front row. The front row is spacious for you and your passenger, and visibility is excellent in all directions. And despite this being more of a compact luxury SUV, there's plenty of adjustment in the seat and the steering column for just about anybody to get a comfortable and effective seating position, and I'm exceptionally well set up here. The like button tells YouTube to share this episode with more people like you interested in an episode like this, and if this episode gave you more information than a brochure or a press release, well, that's the entire ask. That's what the NX told me. Here's what owners are saying after months or years behind the wheel. And the single most documented issue across 450h plus owners is not the powertrain. It's the 12-volt battery. This car uses a DC to DC converter to charge the 12-volt system, and that converter only runs when the car is in ready mode, not when it's plugged in and not in accessory mode. Leave it in accessory mode with the radio on for 20 minutes and you can brick the car. And don't forget, with this NX, luxury means electric door handles, and when electricity leaves, they stop being door handles. Forum consensus: carry a lithium jump starter inside the cabin, not the cargo area. You can't open the power liftgate with a dead 12-volt battery to get to it. On a positive note, owners in more moderate climates than this report getting between 40 and 53 miles of real-world EV range, much more than the EPA's 37. The system learns your driving style and range improves over the first 3 months. The caveat: Canadian owners in cold weather report drops into the high 20s, and below roughly minus 12 Celsius, the gas engine starts regardless of mode. Another thing worth noting, the original equipment run flat tires are the bottleneck when it comes to ride quality. Now, I don't know who's sensitive about ride quality in their NX 450h, but ride quality is excellent here, but still, owners have opinions. Multiple owners describe replacing them as the single highest impact change they made. And then, according to them, the car underneath is quieter and smoother than the tires let it be. Skeptics will point to the complexity of the drivetrain, but the fact of the matter is, according to owners, this entire powertrain is bulletproof. If you own one of these or have some quality seat time behind the wheel of one of these, let me know in the comments what I got right and what I got wrong, because real-world owner experiences are much more valuable than anything I can learn in a week-long press loan, and I always read those comments. So is this a sport SUV? Well, no. If you're looking for something with engaging dynamics, you may want to look elsewhere. But if you want a luxury commuter that feels expensive, drives efficiently, and won't break in 5 years, this is the one. The F-Sport suspension doesn't make it a race car, it just makes it a finished car. And in a segment filled with half-baked crossovers, that might just be worth the premium. We started this episode asking whether this 450h plus F-Sport is the smart money NX when the standard hybrid undercuts it by $10,000. Here's the honest answer. The 350, undoubtedly the better value. This is the better car, and those are not the same thing. One is for your accountant, the other is for the part of your brain that has to sit in traffic. The adaptive suspension, the EV range, the seats, the material step up, that's what makes this 450 special. If you're optimizing for cost per mile, well, you may want to look at the 350. If you're optimizing for living in this thing every day, well, it's the 450 version that actually delivers. And since it's a plug-in hybrid, just make sure you can charge it overnight. This is for the driver who wants a premium daily vehicle that does everything competently, but nothing disappointingly, and makes the commute feel like it was designed for them rather than tolerated. Sure, you might say, Brian, that sounds like a very specific customer, but don't forget, that customer exists in significant numbers. That's the 2026 Lexus NX 450h Plus. Subscribe if you want to see more of these. Don't if you don't. Comments are open if you disagree, and the merch store is open if you want to help fund more episodes like this. See you on the next one.